state. You ain't allowed to die till you suffered enough for the suffering you cause.
Dang, yes, boy, that's good right there.
I told you, ain't nobody escaping without paying for their dirt. And I done seen it firsthand.
Hey, speaking of that, you said that, bro, in Virginia, a brother, I want you, what you think about this? It was a brother at his house, minding his own business, sleep 3 o'clock in the morning. 2 white guys said that they were doing some kind of TikTok prank and was trying to break in his house. They said it was a prank, but the brother ended up killing one of the white boys and shooting the other white boy. But now they holding that brother for murder, right? So what do you think on that? You think that he should? Because it was like a home invasion. The brother was defending his home. So like, but it goes either way. Go ahead.
Look, they was pulling the prank, right?
Yeah.
The joke on them. Because in every state, when somebody is breaching your barriers without your consent, and without a warrant, and you defend your property, you supposed to walk.
Right, that's what I said. Why they sicking this brother with all these charges if they try to break in his house 3 o'clock in the morning? You wanted to plank 3 o'clock in the morning? Come on, man.
Look, the cover story is never the true story.
That's right.
The cover story is the sensationalism to villainize the people that you are hostile towards.
Go ahead.
The cover story is to steer mass opinion so that they gonna see if they can justify the dirt they finna try to do.
Right.
But if we don't fall for the cover story, then they normally rectify it by saying we was just playing. We ain't gonna charge them money. Right. But if we fall for the cover story, they can tell by the algorithm, by the response of the people. If they got enough people agreeing with them, they justify it in their dirt.
Right.
They can't do it if we don't agree.
That's right.
We got to have enough of us agree. We have to consent to being done dirty, and our people being done dirty. We have to continuously consent to their propaganda. That's why propaganda warfare is so powerful.
Right. Right. That's what I was saying about that. Everybody said about that prank. It's a prank. Nah, man, you try to break in a man's house 3 o'clock in the morning.
How do you know it's a prank? That's part of the prank.
That's what I said.
He don't know it's a prank. Did he say he knew?
No, he didn't know it was a prank. He think some suckers trying to break in his house.
Right. So they doing the prank at 3 a.m. on the guy that they don't know. Let that sink in. So when you're talking about cover story, what's the guy? Do you know what the guy name is?
What's the guy name again? Rodney. No, that's Rodney is the guy that ran over the guy. The other guy they got in Virginia, his name is the TikTok guys. What's their name? Hold on, I'm gonna tell you, bro. Yeah, like we just got this happened like a couple days ago. Yeah, they charging this brother with felony murder, like the list of charges, and they broke in his house to try to get him at 3 o'clock in the morning. Come on, man.
So if he do go to trial, this is where he's supposed.
Tyler's his name. Tyler.
Ain't that something? Tyler, the creator.
Yeah.
So look,
Tyler Butler. That's his name. Tyler Butler.
So if you go to trial, they have what's called jury nullification. Or they could come back with he was justified, and they might find him guilty of some lesser charges like carrying a unregistered firearm in the city limits or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But it depends on what their gun laws are. Right? He can't be it can't be an accurate felony murder if somebody is breaching his house at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. You got to have a right to defend yourself and your family. Anybody to tell you don't have a right to defend yourself and your family is your sworn enemy.
Right.
That's just the way it is. They telling you they enemy by telling you you can't defend your family. The right to bear arms is called an inalienable right. That means that they're not supposed to abridge. Abridge means put rules and restrictions on it.
Right.
The only thing they can govern is for what they call the imbecile, the mentally unfit.
Right.
So if you haven't been to a psychiatrist to determine that you're the type of character that's insane enough not to shouldn't have a firearm That's an individual by individual cases, but they can't blanket ban guns.
Right.
They can't. They not even supposed to make you register your gun. That's called an abridgment of a right.
Go ahead.
That's an addendum to your right. That's saying you got the right as long as you follow my rules. That's not a right. That's a privilege. If you attach anything to a right, it's no longer a right. It's a privilege.
That's
registration is an attachment to the right.
Right.
If you go talk to them good old boys, you will find out that they got just as much guns as the U.S. military, but you didn't know it.
Damn sure do.
Right? And we just started collecting guns in the dope era.
Right.
Right? But we ain't got the type of guns that them good old boys been collecting the whole time they been here. They still got Gatling guns in barns out in middle America.
Yeah.
With full chain clips. And they know how to make their own bullets. So all they do is save the shells when they go practice shooting and remake them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Restring they belt clips. Man, they got guns from the wars that they was buying when they was coming back from overseas.
Yep.
Some of them was mailing foreign firearms, mid-range firearms back during all of the wars.
My granddaddy did it.
Yep, they stopped them in, I think the Gulf War was the first war. They wasn't allowed to send their enemy guns back as a collector's item.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm talking about the first Gulf War in 91.
Yeah.
Because they found out that a lot of soldiers from our community had learned the rules to owning guns and started becoming collectors. When you a collector, they can't tell you how many guns you can collect. Especially when you register. Right? So the collector got wise and he knew that it was guns that was made after a certain year. They don't have serial numbers, so you don't have to register the ones made before that year, right? And you classify them as an antique.
Go ahead.
Some of them you have to put a plug in the barrel. That means that it's non-fireable. And then you could classify it as a replica. But if war kick off, you could pull the plug out the barrel, put a couple of springs in it, and make it fully operational for combat.
Go ahead.
Right? The bikers know what I'm talking about. The truckers know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right? And they understand the need to be able to defend themselves on the open road. And they got a right to defend themselves on the open road, just like you got the right to defend yourself in your domicile.
Right.
Right? As soon as they try to usurp a right, they turn it into a privilege. You can't turn a right into a privilege. That's an abridgment of a right prohibited in the Constitution. The contract they wrote, the only reason why we had to have it in writing, because that motherfuckers won't follow the rules if you don't write them down. And then if you write them down, they're going to try to come up with addendums to the rule where they can change it at their whim. And if you go for it, turn about fair play.
Yeah, they call it an act. It ain't no law, it's an act now.
Yeah, that's because they don't mean it. They just playing. They masquerading and playing the part. They not the actual people. They just the people playing the part of the people.
Go ahead.
Puppets. Marionette show. Right? And they protect themselves with angry sheep.
Right. Hey, we about at the hour mark, Raw. Hold on, let me share this.
Well, I got 15% left on my phone.
Yeah, okay, all right. We got a couple more minutes then. Hey, we'll take some questions from the crowd. Hey, y'all, if you got any questions for Chief Rod, drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat. It's a lot going on the land right now. Like I say, I think that it looked like the tables are turning to where the stuff that was happening to us is now happening to them. You know, or the bad guys, you know.
All you got to do is keep watching. Get your popcorn. Don't participate in the shenanigans. Stay out them people way. The National Guard coming because Trump already announced it. Now remember, Elder, I told y'all that when they get ready to get rid of the police, what they had to do to secure the community?
Bring in the guards?
Yep. And they got to do it where? In the high crime districts, right?
Right,
Because
Chicago. Yep.
right. So when they talk about bringing the National Guard to the black community, it's actually a good thing for us, but it's a bad thing for people like illegal policing.
Go ahead.
Right? Because they can't take the police away because we conditioned to have them there without replacing them with somebody that's more cordial to us. And like I told y'all, the National Guard them and already trained to treat everybody like they family.
Right.
So the National Guard training is not foreign combat. It's can I help my neighbor training. You're not there. You're not there to shoot a nigga in the back because he was running down the street. That's not your job. Is your job is when you see that old lady with them too many bags to carry across the street, you go help her.
Right.
Right. When you see that man going upside that lady head, you go help her.
Right.
Right. And because we conditioned to police and police calling, the dispatch is going to have to switch over to the National Guard because they're going to be having to send National Guard in because it ain't going to be no goddamn police.
Go ahead.
Right. Now, in the district communities or what we call rural areas, that's the sheriff can handle that. They have the sheriff's department in place that's capable of handling all of the counties.
Okay.
And the sheriff has the electoral right to deputize as many deputies as he needs to fulfill the function. Mm-hmm. All of the ones that want to stay in law enforcement need to go sign up with the sheriff and get the fuck off the police force before hell come down on their head.
Go ahead.
You know, that's the only way that you're gonna be able to remain in law enforcement and stay on the land. You're not gonna be able to be POLICE and remain on the land because they're a foreign agency with foreign interests. They don't have our interests. They not here to serve and protect us. Because they ain't never showed us no protective services over here except for CPS, and they can only come in to break families up and traffic children. Right? So they have no caring compassion for us. All they want to do is bust us upside the head, shoot us in the bed, shoot us on the street, shoot us on our feet. Wherever they catch us at, they want to kill us because it's warfare. It's not what people think. They've been lying the whole time. They don't belong here. Right? And you got proper people in place who took the oath to prevent them from doing the debauchery they doing, from doing the corruption they doing, from administratively asserting a foreign jurisdiction. That makes them domestic enemies when they from here and they work for a foreign agency. They all should be registered under the Foreign Agent Act and the Aiding and Abetting of the Enemy Act. What they call it, it's not called aiding and abetting the enemy. It's called working with the enemy or something like that.
Yeah. Trading with the enemy, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Trading with the Enemies Act.
Yeah.
Right. Now, they wanted to make Farrakhan register under the Trading with the Enemy Act in order for Muammar Gaddafi to put the wealth of Libya behind him. So why they can't force these fake ass police to register under the Trading with the Enemy Act for working for London? The London ain't our motherfucking government.
Right.
Our government's over here supposed to be tribal. And the tribal structure don't look too much different than the structure that they superimposed upon us. This is called, in the CIA lingo, the American corporation. It's called a cutout. Right? It's not our government. Them people is hostile forces on the land, hostile to the tribes, belligerent to the tribe. All we trying to do is inform the tribes of who don't belong here in order to get the imposters out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And these sheriffs better start treating people with some kindness and compassion, even if they locked up in their county jails, because the stuff they feed them in there, man, I wouldn't get that shit to my dog.
Man, burnt Doritos, burnt cornflakes.
They do that on purpose because they call themselves teaching you a lesson. If you want to eat some decent food, don't come to jail. I understand it. But you can't be holding the tribes hostage on their own land and then giving them malnourished food.
Right.
Right. We understand that you may consider them. If they're not convicted, they're not even supposed to be treated as criminals.
Right.
They ain't been convicted of shit. They was arrested and accused of something. That don't mean that they actually the criminal. Sometimes the people that's accusing them is the actual criminal.
Go ahead.
You know, so the criminal put the innocent person in jail, and you gonna make them suffer for coming to jail because the innocent motherfucker got locked up on the dirty motherfucker's word.
Right.
No, that's you. If you're supposed to be innocent till proven guilty, you should treat a motherfucker like they innocent until proven guilty.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. Go ahead.
You shouldn't be under tents in Arizona in pink jumpsuits because you got locked up. You ain't been convicted yet.
Right.
If they want to, yeah. If they want you to be treated like a criminal, they should first convict you. Right. Otherwise, you treat a human like a human. You give him his human respect, his human dignity. You supply the nourishment if you're gonna hold him in captivity, or you let him go out and get his own nourishment.
Right. Now, in the feds, you eat like a king, though, man. For breakfast, they give you eggs, grits, pancakes, and a honey bun, man.
You know what that is?
Huh?
That's because you're close to the master house.
Okay, yeah. See, if I go to the feds, the state time is hard time, man. You go to the feds, them boy wearing Rolexes, they got a pair of Jordans on. You know what I'm saying? He walking in there with a chain.
That's only a certain fed joints. They all ain't like that.
Yeah, I know, like they all ain't like that. The one in Atlanta is though.
But you got Sing Sing, Marion, ADX. Them some miserable places to be.
Yeah, ADX. Yeah, hell yeah. Those spots right there. You damn sure right.
And look, they say we weak. You can't be weak and endure what Larry Hoover endured. You can't be weak. You can't be weak. You can't be weak and go through what Angel Bay been going through. You can't be weak when you're going through what Malachi York going through.
Right.
You can't be weak and go through what A-Trap Brown going through. I can always book his Muslim name, so I called him A-Trap Brown for the purpose of clarity. But you can't be weak and go through what Mumia went through.
All right.
They said our people are weak. You can't be weak and go through what Assata Shakur went through.
That's facts.
Right. You can't be weak and go through what Giant Africa and his family went through. And they still here after being bombed, imprisoned, murdered by the government, by the police.
Damn.
But the police ain't supposed to be our enemy, though. Right? They set us up. They fabricate cases like they did on Geronimo Pratt and Dick Tookie in order to give us the death penalty or lock us up for life. And few of us have a Johnny Cochran that's a bulldog on the case.
Right.
Most of the ones see the case, they want the case because they want the prestige, but they don't want to do the work required to break you free.
Right.
So they'll come on and hold press conferences and talk about everything they're going to do to help just to get their name recognition, but they don't end up helping in the end, but they end up getting a lot of referrals for a lot of cases to people that believe they can actually help them, and all they doing is bait and switch. Bait and switch. Yep, it's all for the money. Sooner or later, though, we're going to have to snap out of the slumber. Because when enough of us see it, look, the change is gonna be so sweet when enough of us is when we truly hit critical mass, because we apparently ain't hit critical mass, but we getting close. When we hit critical mass, the shit gonna switch so smooth, it's gonna go from one day looking chaotic to the next day like, bam, everybody Gucci now.
Yeah.
Don't nobody gotta fight for a right to exist anymore. But we still got to go through process. And a lot of people become impatient because process, depending on how big the change, sometimes take longer than we want it to.
Right.
But the process still processing. It just ain't moving as fast as we want it to. I call it the slow falling building because the people at the distance watching it fall, it look real slow. But the one trying to get from under it, he realized how fast that motherfucker falling while he trying to escape.
Right.
But the people that's at a distance saying, "Run, fool, run!" and they see him, he chucking up, he running faster than Carl Lewis in the Olympics. But guess what? He can't outrun that falling building.
Go ahead.
It's falling too fast. The fall at the rate of the fall is faster than he can accelerate on his 2 feet. But to the people at a distance, by the building being so big, it looked like it's falling really slow.
Right. And those the police, they got cause my cousin, he a cop, right? And I talked to him, what I know, right? But it seemed like to me he indoctrinated under some kind of program. They programmed to just intimidate them, speak loud, say police, get on the ground. They got to be all belligerent and just. They teach you the cops to be belligerent, and they teach the cops to be intimidating. They teach them to be what they are. You know what I'm saying? They don't train them to be nice, and they train them for like warfare, pretty much.
Intimidation tactics,
Yeah.
threats and coercion.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Look, I ain't no Nature Boy fan, but the girl just come out with a video talking about how they set him up with the rape case. They always, when they don't have nothing to get you on, they always use some kind of sexual shit.
Right.
Because the allegation is more important than the actual event itself.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the allegation is the key and critical evidence of a rape. Right? So they can convince you that somebody a cult leader and you ain't had no choice, and originally you was all in. Now you got buyer's regret because you've been questioned by the police.
Right. Dang, that's so true, bro. That's so true.
Yeah. I got 5%, Elder.
All right, man.
Maybe one more question and then we let it go.
We'll take one more question from the crowd. Y'all drop it in the chat. You want to show Rod some love? We got his cash app dropped in the chat, y'all. Well, hey, give me a good one. It says in the building, what's your perspective? I don't see what he asking though. Say, what's your perspective?
It's a IUIC in the building. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. It says it's Big Mama Empress.
She's not physically here with us anymore. Empress Verdiasi. She died destitute in a nursing home in California, which is a damn shame.
I think her daughter, Wendy Washington, they got passed to her. But there's more than one empress on the land. Empress Wendy is the empress, standing empress of the Washita. Wendy Washington, which is her daughter.
Yeah. So we have a Big Mama ranking system by blood right heirs. And the only person that had the same birthright capability of reclaiming the allodial title was Empress Redbird. Otherwise, we would have had to find the next heir. So first, the red house, Empress Verdiasi was under the red house.
Yeah, man, and make it do what it do. Big Chief, appreciate you, man. Peace and blessings. How you doing?
Oh man, we're taking it easy, going with the flow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Listen, after that last one, man, the tribe been going crazy. I'm talking about the whole channel been going crazy about, that last conversation, man. So I told everybody, I'm gonna try to make it happen again as soon as possible. So, man, we here, we back, and I'm ready to get it in again, man. What you say?
I stay ready and get ready.
Yes, sir. That's what's up. So let me ask you this, because before we get deep into the topic at hand tonight, what would you consider to be an extraterrestrial experience? Like, have you had any that you, or what would you define that as? What would you classify that as in regards to your perspective?
A day-to-day experience.
I say.
Look, when they say extraterrestrial, right? That an experience that's extraterrestrial, meaning experience that's extra than what you've experienced before.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fact.
So if you think about it, all of your day-to-day movements is extraterrestrial movements. You walking, we flying through space at 1 billion miles an hour. It's all extraterrestrial.
That's facts. Yeah, that's deep. And you know, since the last episode, I got a chance to do a little research on some of the topics that we was chopping it up on. And so I definitely want to get into a little bit of that. But I had an experience this past Saturday, man, which was nuts, because I was sitting at the in the living room on my sofa, and I had like a tray table up, and I was on the laptop doing a little work or whatever, and I smelled this fragrance come across my nose. And so when I smelled it, I knew it was something different. And because I don't believe I've ever smelled that fragrance before, but also I knew it was an extraterrestrial event within, you know, the comfort of my own home. Like, it was a presence that was
could have been interdimensional.
Well, that's what I was getting to. I feel like it was, because check this out. I promise you, within 2 to 3 minutes after I had the fragrance come across my nose, and I spoke, you know, said, you know, I forgot what I said, but I spoke to it. And like 2 or 3 minutes later, an elder called me and was like, "Hey, you all right? You good? Everything straight?" He was like, "The ancestors told me to reach out, you know, to check on you." And bro, when I tell you, it blew my mind. Like, it blew my mind, because I'm like, yo, that's nuts. Like, I mean, within a 2 to 3 minutes, you know, timeline. So it was like, that's something that I've had multiple different types of experiences in regards to something that I felt like was extra, you know, terrestrial. It was different for sure. But with you, and I know you've had a lot of those experiences as well. We spoke about 1 or 2 earlier, I think either today or yesterday. But when it comes to something we tapped into but didn't go far down the rabbit hole with last show, is mushrooms and, like, what is it, DMTs or something along that line? Something like that, what they call it? Like,
Yeah.
how
Those open up the channel for psychic experience.
I say, and that's what
It ain't that you don't have the channel, but for generations of not using the channel, the youth now is finding interest in the ancient ceremonies that opened you up to those experiences. Because once you bend your mind, once your mind been stretched to a certain limit, it can't go back. So if you have a DMT or a mushroom experience or a peyote experience, that stretched your mind beyond what you thought was your limits, and it can't go back. It can't go back to the state it was before, because now all of that information is within the confines of the mind. It's stretched. So they use the psychotropics to give alternative experiences in order for people's spiritual senses to reactivate.
That's deep. Now, how does that relate to, like, the movie Doctor Strange and what they showed in that movie in regards to these experiences?
So Dr. Strange started off as a physician that was a savant. Right? So he's already a genius intellectually. Now, when he goes to the lady that's the ancient, her job is to unlock his right hemisphere, abstract reasoning, to give him the wisdom to control the forces of magic. So it's really telling the story, the ancient story of Tahuti and Heka magic.
That's deep. And so is that some sort of correlation to what we saw with Neo in the Matrix when he went to see the Oracle?
Yeah.
Sure.
The significance of the Oracle that was talking to me, that's Big Mama. Right? Before we go do anything, we always consulted with the Oracle. Just read the stories of the oracles of Delphi. Those are Egyptian priestesses that was operating in Greece. And they were the ones that penned the Greek language for the Greek people. And that's why their civilization was Hellenistic, because Helen was the name of the position of the priesthood that gave the culture to Rome. So she became the goddess Helen in Rome, in Greece. She usurped in Rome because in Rome, Helen is a man. And this is your beheading of Medusa story. Medusa is a rank for the side priestesses. Medu meaning 10, meaning the highest rank, because she had to master all of the disciplines. So the Gorgons are the ones who was the three sisters, right? In the voodoo, we call them Oye, Yemiya, and Oshun, right? So they steal the three sisters, and they was fighting the war against the Roman invasion, and this is why they always paint them as grotesque, because they've drawn the rage out of the warrior woman. So all of those goddesses of ancient days that they got those terrible looking images of, and they face all grotesque, because that's them in waging war on the patriarchy when they was usurping the sacerdotal seat. Priest wars. Wizards versus witches.
Yes, sir. That's deep. That's real deep. I'm glad you said that. So now when we talk about that, we hit on the last episode that America is the home to the oldest Isis temple in the world, right? So when it comes
to Arizona,
yes, sir. Now, okay, now with that being said, when it comes to that, right? I was doing some research, like I said, since the last call, and one of the things that I kind of stumbled upon that was a little new to me, or I just forgot it, refreshed my memory, but there's a crown that Isis or Aset wears, right? And if I'm not mistaken, there's 7 cobras across the top, just like you will see the one cobra and the bird on the front of the pharaohs and the queens and the kings of Kemet's headdress. Do the 7 cobras or snakes or serpents represent the 7 continents of the globe? The 7 snakes that are on
those are the 7 sisters of the Pleiades. So when she put that on her headband, that means she's channeling those 7 wise ones, the Nagas queens in 7s, they 7 sisters. So when the chosen son come, he get baptized, he get blessed by 7 Marys. His birthright is secured by finding 7 Aunt Ruths. Because Ruth is the one who is the money pot. She's the one that need to be redeemed.
Yes, sir.
And we all got an Aunt Ruth in our family.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? I got 7 Aunt Ruths. I got 7 godmamas named Mary.
We about to go ahead, buddy.
Or some variant thereof. My first godmama, my big mama name was Mother Margaret.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And we just used to call her Big Mama.
Buckle up, tribe. Grab your bags. Save yourself first before the women and the children, because we're about to take off. All right. So now with that, when you said that, especially when you're talking about the money and the wealth, that is attributed to Oya. You're talking about the Ifa, it's African church, spiritual traditions, right? And also, she's a deity who's attributed to the storms. She's attributed to transformation, birth and rebirth. Death to the old, birth to the new. You know what I mean? So, what Kemetic deity would be maybe the closest one that would kind of be, a parable to her or correlate to her energy, in the Ifa Isheshe tradition?
Those are concepts,
right?
In the Kemetic tradition, it would be Aset, Het Heru, and Het Hathor, or not Hathor, because that's Het Heru, and Sekhmet.
I see.
Right. So they show you the image of Isis with 2 lions. The 2 lions represent Sekhmet and Het Heru. Heru is the female earth heir, and she's represented as the female cow. And so the cow's still sacred in India. And because they still got different renditions of the same idea, and the cow is the symbol that represents that idea of the matriarch, the mother with the udders. We call them big mamas with the big tatas, right? Because they used to suckle the world.
I should.
When the orphans come in, some of them mamas couldn't suckle them, so they had to give them to the big mama. And some of them, that's where you get your wet nurse concept from. That's tribal. Because it used to be women in the community that used to take care of the children as like similar to a daycare. And she would suckle the different children at different times. And she'd probably be 4, 5, 6, just like her in there, depending on how many children they got. That's where that whole idea come from. That's some tribal Mississippian backwoods shit.
Yeah. That's deep, because I was watching, shout out to the brother Billy Carson's been out. I was watching an interview he had maybe about 3 weeks ago. I think it was before you and I met and had our first interview. But he interviewed some people who were from the Palladian star system, and they said that they were the elders from the land of Mu, from Lemuria. And it was dope because they shared some sacred stones that were very powerful stones that were definitely from, out of this world. And they were sharing like some of the stories about those stones and how powerful and significant they were in regards to, their home star system.
You got to look at, they already told us, but they told it to us in comic theatrics that's exaggerated. They told us about the vibranium, the what's that stuff Wolverine got?
I can't remember the name of it, but that's what makes his that's what makes
anthemanium.
It makes it indestructible.
Right. Then when you go to the Avatar movies, you had the unobtainium. Right? They telling you that it's the gold the whole time, and that certain people's presence on the earth causes the earth to produce gold in its veins. Those are the golden ones.
That's deep. Now, let me ask you this. I just saw something earlier today, if I'm not mistaken, and it was regarding Trump and his efforts to, I guess there's some sort of, they're trying to transition back into the gold standard in regards to the currency. Have you heard anything about that? So can you
that's always been the plan. Because the fiat system, it had a system of taxation on one end and inflation on the other end. So the only way to eliminate taxation and inflation is through tariffs and through by money that's backed by substance. Right? Adamantium, that's what Wolverine made out of. And so when a new system takes power, right? System that's founded on substance is the system that's going to last the longest. The American system was an interim government that was only had a 200-year contract that we didn't make, but people came over here and made on our behalf, like they had the right to speak up for us. And check out Young Elder tomorrow, because I'm going to be going over some receipts and I'm going to show y'all how they was doing the treaties. And I say that we didn't sign all them treaties. That's fraud. And by canceling the treaties, it cancels the contracts of the municipalities, what we call your city charters. The charters all trace back to London, England, by way of the Federal Reserve banking system.
Yeah, that's deep, because we kind of tapped in a little bit on that on the first one too, in regards to how that's connected to the papal and to the Vatican and all that stuff. So now I saw also, and I'm glad I thought about this, because this is something else I wanted to go through with you. I saw a lot of coverage regarding shout out to the brother Ibrahim Traore out of Burkina Faso. A lot of coverage between him and Putin. And Putin invited him to, I forgot the name of the day, but that day they just had recently in Russia. Where do you see that in regards to the shift in powers, especially when it comes to allies and enemies with the West? Where do you see that position in Burkina Faso with whatever that situation was with him and Putin?
Hey, hold on, my phone just went out. Let me go out and come back. Have to publicly acquiesce and bow to the New World. The people that was assigned from two sides of the ocean to bring this to a close is the one who came up from the dirt in Russia, who y'all call Vladimir Putin. And the rich boy that came up in America, y'all call him Donald Trump, Agent Orange. So this show collaboration of two sides of the ocean, the two pillars of the earth, representing the two superpowers. The superpowers that was at Cold War with each other for 70 years. The same superpowers that generated the most high-tech espionage networks in the world. The same two superpowers that gave each other technology that produced the atomic bomb and other technological advances between the two nations. Right? So the fallacy of Russia and America being enemies when Russia was the only ones that sent support to the natives of the land when they seized Alaska from the French and the Spaniards that was attacking us on the west, that decimated the Caliphate queens. Right? Her castle used to sit where Alcatraz at. They bombed it into oblivion with the Spanish Armada. And then they wrote the fictional tales of the encounter with the Amazonian women, which is another story for the Caliphate queens, because they ruled all the way from California to the Amazon going around south. And the women used to go there to do women's retreat rituals for cleansing and healing, like after childbirth, after relationship breakups or a person died. They used to go to the Caliphate queens for healing, spiritual healing, right? And the men would be on the mainland and they protected the castle from the mainland. But they hadn't experienced no shit like that Spanish Armada, right? They built a replica because they got to give us a means to discover what they did. So they had to build a replica of the Caliphate Castle. And you see it every time you watch a Disney movie. The replica of the Caliphate Queen's Castle. And women used to come from all over the world to learn the science of love and the art of making a family peaceful and happy from the highest evolved feminine position of royalty.
Sure.
The culture hasn't changed. We just put on modern clothes. You still have people trying to bring back the old culture, right? When they used to wade in the water, that's not just a gospel song. That's a tribal coded liberation song. Because when the women go back to dressing in the white and doing the water rituals of cleansing and balancing their energy to the spiritual synchronicity between water and spirit, they become a whole different creature. And we got heaven on earth again.
Yes, sir. So that's deep. So I got some questions I want to follow up with that, but we had a tribe member drop a good question I said I'll bring to the floor. So I'm gonna ask from the tribe real quick before I go into mine. So shout out to Yin Yan Princess says, what's the difference between Russia and is it Prussia? Prussia?
Yeah, when it was Prussia is when it was it was a whole empire. It covered almost 60% of northern Europe. It was called the Prussian Empire. And it was a rival empire to the rise of the Italian Roman Empire. Right? So they fought wars between each other. They culminated with the Bolshevik Revolution and the assassination of Tsar Nicholas, the Brightful Blood heir. And he wasn't paleface.
That sounds like the black nobility type stuff.
It was, because in Europe, the Inquisition, the French Revolution was the infighting from the invaders that came out of the Middle East. They came up through Turkey as Ottomans became Byzantine kings. They went across northern Africa, being chased across the desert sands until they crossed into the Iberian Peninsula for the shenanigans they was doing. Elijah Muhammad tell you what they was doing. Everywhere they go, they cause mischief and bloodshed. They find two peaceful people, sow the seeds of dissension between them. This is called divide and conquer.
Yep.
And when they fighting each other and they about to kill each other in the heat of the moment, while they the heat of the passion, they step in the middle and say, I can solve your problem if y'all listen to me. And then he stick his hands out to get paid. So I say for a fee.
Yeah.
So they ran them they came into Europe as the Etruscans and Phoenicians. Settled Italy, making Rome. Tuscany was before it was Rome, Italy. So during this time, you have the birth priestesses birthing new civilization in Greece. Right? Remember, the first university in Europe was on the island of Crete. And it was developed and staffed by Egyptian priests and priestesses.
That's deep. That's real deep.
The Jacobite is the imposter. The Earthborn is the original. How do we know this? What do Jacob mean? It means supplanter. What do a supplanter do? It burrows under the root to replace the original. Right? And so the supplanter is the one coming to steal the birthright. They tell you that in the story of Jacob and Esau. Jacob being Jacob. Jacob being the supplanter. To conceal his identity and his purpose, they changed his name to Israel.
Listen.
So now he's living his life with an alias. He's no longer Jacob the supplanter. He's all of a sudden, voila, I'm an Egyptian now.
Now, that's funny because I just saw something today I meant to send you before we got on the doggone air to share on the air, but maybe we'll do it on the next one. But okay, now when you say the Jacob character, now in regards to that, are we talking about the big-headed scientist? Is that the same character, the Jacob character?
Which was originally metaphoric, but he did have a fat ass head. But we be calling people that to imply they're extra smart. Remember, the term brainiac and the term nerd came from a school of ours called Brainerd University, which was one of the elementary schools that would produce nothing but geniuses. So when you've been hearing people calling somebody a nerd, a geek, right, or a brainiac, all that come from Brainerd University. It was brought back to life by Felicia Rashad and Debbie Allen.
When did they bring it back to life? Was it in a movie or a show or something?
No, in real life.
Get out of here.
In real life. If you follow Felicia Rashad and Debbie Allen, and they were they refighting, they raised money to bring Brainerd University back.
Wow.
With their curriculum.
Wow. That's dope. I've never heard of that. That's deep. That's real deep.
It's a lot of what we, because the celebrities are under contract that they're not supposed to do nothing for their community.
Yep. That's how they get
all until the duration of the contract expires. That's to keep them out of community activism work. Because because we believe in breaking bread and helping each other get on our feet. So when you start making $100 million as a basketball player, football player, baseball player, your natural instinct is to go back and put your whole town on.
Right.
I'm finna go put all my homeboys on now. So they needed to stop that. Because of people like Debbie Allen, like Ruby D and Ozzy. They were doing work with the people, and they was using their celebrity status, and because they was educating the people, they became just as much of a threat as a frontline civil rights activist on the dark Mississippi road.
Yeah, that's deep. Shout out to the brother Jaylen Brown too, from the Celtics. He been doing a lot of work like that too. He's been doing a lot of work. So now that's real deep.
Yeah. So the thing with Kyrie, they can't contract Kyrie not to do anything for his people, because Kyrie it is against his culture and his religion, his tribal religion. You can't stop me from doing for my people. And whoever his lawyer is probably invoked that in the contract negotiations. Because Kyrie be doing all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But see, we forget about Craig Hodges though.
Yeah, I just saw something recently. He was sharing his story. I think it might have been on Matt Barnes and brother I forgot the other brother, Steven Jackson's podcast, if I'm not mistaken, where he got blackballed. He was actually talking about how he got blackballed from the league for that.
Yeah, for wearing the dashiki to the White House.
Wow.
The best 3-point shooter in the league.
Yeah.
The number 1 3-point shooter in the league.
Yeah.
And they kicked him out for expressing his cultural identity.
What about Mahmoud Abdul Rauf? He got blackballed from the league too.
Yeah, but he was nutting up though. We could use all his ethnic passes, but he don't need none.
I think he was dealing with a health issue too, though. Didn't he have I don't know if it was like Tourette's or I don't know if it was MS. There's something I think he had some sort of health issue too. I think that was messing with him. Wow. Okay, I tell you what. So now with the Russia thing, because you dropped a lot of jewels on that. Can you talk to, especially with today's overall theme, but we're gonna hit a lot. But can you kind of speak to Russia's their part in regards to this thing called the extraterrestrial technology and extraterrestrial ships and crafts that have I think crashed or either been shot down on Russian territory, that they were able to reverse engineer, which led them to be the first, if I'm not mistaken, ones that quote unquote went into outer space in regards to in the last few hundred years worth of time. Does those kind of tie into what we're talking about? Who rose up from the?
So they got all that technology from Adolf Hitler.
That's where I want to go.
The technology was split between Britain and America, Russia, and France. This is where we get Operation Paperclip, where they bring in all of the Nazi scientists and start NASA. That means they already in contact with extraterrestrials at this time. Adolf Hitler was a contactee, and the dude they keep telling us Adolf Hitler, and they keep showing us this cracker. That's not Adolf Hitler.
Like a double, or like
no,
like you said,
he was a parody. That guy was a parody Adolf Hitler.
Kind of like you said with
a Charlie Chaplin. He was a Charlie Chaplin type actor. Just like they put that skin mask on Jim Carrey to play Joe Biden.
Wow.
It's the same thing, and then they change. The strategies that they've been using is the same thing. Concealing identities in order to push the agenda further. They just ran into the wrong one.
Yeah. Now, how does that tie into the Thule Society and what is her name? Was it Madame Blavatsky?
Madame Blavatsky, right? So the Thule Society infiltrated Madame Blavatsky's Theosophical Society because she had what they considered real deal knowledge,
and the power to like remote view too, right? To be able to kind of remote.
She was doing all kind of stuff. Her information is powerful, so they put a smear campaign out on Madame Blavatsky, but she was like one of the spearheads of the spiritualist movement of the late 1800s. Early 1900s. The spiritualist movement in America was triggered by people looking to find a remedy for the conjure of John Dee that he gave to the Queen of England in order to put the people under a hypnotic trance in America. So this is why they gave us the assassination of Crispus Attucks, and they can't let us forget who shed first blood. Because this is how you going to determine who was the defender and who was the attacker. That's how you going to know who is white on the chessboard and who is black. Right? The black pieces, they consider him already dead because the white piece moved first. He drew first blood. Right? And what did he do with his bloody hands? He covered the mouth of the women so that they couldn't scream. While you violate them. So now, in remembrance of any other sisters, you see them wearing the bloody handprint on their mouth. Because they was warned with the threat of death not to say nothing when they got abused.
Right.
It's the same enemy. The enemy cloaked himself. Over here, Noble Jew Ali discovered them in New Jersey as more Zionist Jews. Right? So then, as a counteroffensive, he created the Moorish Science Temple. Right? Because he got to fight conjure magic with conjure magic. Right? All of the chiefs know that back then. It's common knowledge, just like it's common knowledge that Tupac was a rapper. Same type of common knowledge.
Yeah, that's deep. That's real deep. And then, so because that goes back to, especially when you talk about the technology for the flying saucers, the technology for the crafts that the Nazis and Hitler and all them had access to. Now, when we get into this part of the conversation, because we about to go ahead and start, raising the altitude. When we get into that part of the conversation, where does the correlation and the connection of the Nazi Germany's, society in regards to like extraterrestrial technology and crafts, but then how does that tie into why?
One of the things they discovered in theosophy is something called the Mahatmas. These were monks that kept ancient scrolls in the mountains of Tibet. So he sent a guy named Heinrich Himmler on an expedition to recover the scrolls. And they got a secret portion of scroll from the chapters of a text called the Vimana Sutra. The Vimana Sutra teaches you or gives you the blueprints to create anti-gravity flying apparatus. So they get a head start. They used modernization to try to update all of the graphics and update the technology that was being used so that they can make the craft more efficient. So those were the projects Hitler had them working on, right? And once they made contact with extraterrestrials, the game plan now has to take a drastic shift. On chess, that's called castle.
Yeah, that's deep. So what is the significance to that whole, the Nazi movement and all that with Antarctica? Because I know they have the poles blocked off and all that. What's the significance in that, and why is that?
Because when Adolf Hitler got a hold of the ancient world map, he found a place called Tartarus. And this is why everybody keeps saying Tartaria. But the place is Tartarus. It's spoke about also in the book of Enoch. And this is the land that was under the ice in Antarctica. They had already received the reports from Admiral Richard E. Byrd about his experiences in Antarctica. That was way before World War II.
Yeah.
So once they
30s, when was that?
1927. I think it was 1927 or something like that.
Because he was flying over either the North or the South Pole, and he ended up flying into the inner Earth.
That's when he flew over the North Pole, when he flew into the inner Earth.
Gotcha.
When he flew to Antarctica, he talked about the unexplored lands that he's seen. Antarctica under the ice is probably big as North America. Or bigger.
Yeah.
Right? And this is why when people see the ice shelf, they think it's a wall. Right? But it's not a wall, it's a shelf. If you see it from the top, you will understand what I'm telling you. You can see all of the ancient structures starting to melt through the ice, thanks to the return of the sun cycle. The sun cycle is going to thaw Antarctica out. We got cryogenics and cryostasis from telepathic communication with people that was frozen under the ice to tell them how to thaw them out without killing them.
Oh boy.
Look, they try to tell us that they brought them from Africa and set them loose in Antarctica, and they thrived. And they called them the Bashinga tribe. They was already under the ice. They thawed them people out. Based on telepathic instructions, the Nazis was the first to have a base in direct contact with the people in the ice. Right? One of the things that they was experimenting on is genetics. We got to remember, Adolf Hitler sent Benito Mussolini into Egypt. What was they looking for? Akhenaten. Akhenaten was the last great pharaoh that changed the paradigm from polytheism to monotheism. But it was a paradigm shift that was earth-shaking for the times. So they wanted somebody with the same capabilities, so they started a genetic breeding program called Boys from Brazil. They even made a movie about it. So while they was down there, they say that they was cloning Adolf Hitler. They wasn't cloning Adolf Hitler. They was cloning Akhenaten.